They called her Barren at the wedding. Then she revealed triplets. They dropped to their knees. Stories like this are why this channel exists. Subscribe if you believe every woman deserves her voice. The wedding hall was filled with laughter and music. Golden decorations hung from the ceiling. Tables were covered with expensive dishes. Everyone was dressed in their finest clothes. It was supposed to be a day of joy, a day of celebration, but for Kioma, it was the worst day of her life. She sat quietly at the back table, her hands folded on her lap, her head bowed. She wore a simple dress, not the beautiful outfit the other family members wore, not the matching Aso Ebi fabric everyone else had on. No, she was given plain clothes, clothes that made her look like she didn't belong. And maybe that's exactly what they wanted. Kioma was married to Emeka, a good man, a kind man, but his family, they hated her, especially his mother and his younger sister, Edaiz. They never wanted Emeka to marry Kioma. They said she came from nothing, that her family had no status, no name, no money. Why did you marry this village girl? Emeka's mother would say. She can't even give you a child. After 3 years. 3 years. That's how long Kioma had been married. 3 years of trying. 3 years of praying. 3 years of crying in the bathroom while family members whispered behind her back, "She's barren. Emeka should find another wife. What kind of woman can't bear a child?" Kioma heard it all. Every word, every laugh, every side glance, but she said nothing. She endured. Because she loved Emeka, and because deep down she believed things would change. But today was different. Today was Adaizi's wedding. Emeka's younger sister, the golden child of the family, the one who could do no wrong, the one who was now getting married before Kioma could even give her husband a child, and they made sure Kioma knew it. "Kioma, sit at the back," Emeka's mother had said that morning. "We don't want you in the family photos. You know, you might bring bad luck." Bad luck. Kioma's heart broke, but she nodded. She smiled. She swallowed the pain and sat where they told her to sit. As the ceremony continued, people danced. They cheered. They celebrated Adaiz. But every now and then, someone would glance at Kioma, and they would whisper, "Poor thing, still no child." "I heard Emeka is already looking for a second wife. She must be so ashamed." Kioma lowered her head even more. Her eyes burned with tears, but she refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of these people. Then the MC's voice boomed through the speakers. "And now, let's hear from the bride's family. Is there anyone who would like to say a few words?" Emeka's mother stood up. She smiled. She took the microphone, and she began to speak. "Today I am so proud. My daughter, Edaize, is getting married. She is a blessing, a woman of honor, a woman who knows how to carry herself, a woman who will give her husband children." The crowd clapped. Kioma's chest tightened. Then Emeka's mother turned. Her eyes locked on Kioma. "Unlike some people," she said slowly, "who waste their husband's time and bring nothing but disappointment." The hall went silent. Kioma's breath stopped. Did she just? Everyone turned to look at her, and that's when Kioma realized. This wasn't just a wedding, this was her public execution. Kioma sat frozen. Her hands trembled on her lap. The eyes of the entire wedding hall were on her. Some people looked away quickly, embarrassed. Others stared, waiting to see what she would do. Emeka's mother smiled, a cold, satisfied smile. Then she handed the microphone back to the MC and sat down. The music started again. People began talking, laughing, as if nothing had happened. But Kioma heard nothing. She felt nothing but the burning shame in her chest. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. but her legs wouldn't move. Then she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Emeka. "Don't listen to her," he whispered. His voice was tight, angry. "Let's just get through today, please." Kioma nodded. She forced a smile, but inside, she was breaking. The rest of the ceremony continued. Adaze danced with her new husband. The family took photos. Chioma was not called for any of them. She sat alone at the back table, watching everyone celebrate. At some point, Adaze walked past her. She stopped. She looked down at Kioma with a smirk. "You know," Adaze said quietly, "if you can't give my brother a child, maybe you should just leave. Save him the embarrassment." Kioma's throat tightened. She looked up at Adaze, but before she could say anything, Adaze laughed and walked away. Kioma bit her lip. Hard, so hard she tasted blood. "Stay calm," she told herself. "Just stay calm." But the humiliation didn't stop there. Later, during the reception, the MC made an announcement. "We're going to play a game. All married women, please come forward." Chioma stayed seated. She didn't want to be part of it, but Emeka's mother stood up and pointed at her. "Kioma, come forward. You're married, aren't you?" The crowd laughed. Kioma's face burned, but she stood. She walked to the front, slowly, reluctantly. The MC handed each woman a balloon. "Whoever blows up their balloon the fastest wins a prize," he said with a grin. The game started. Women laughed and cheered as they blew up their balloons. Chioma tried, but her hands were shaking. Her chest felt tight. She couldn't breathe properly. Her balloon barely inflated. The crowd noticed. "What's wrong with her? She can't even blow up a balloon. Maybe that's why she can't have children." The laughter grew louder. Kioma's vision blurred. She dropped the balloon and walked back to her seat, her head down, her heart shattered. Emeka came to her side again. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I didn't know they would do this." Kioma said nothing. She just stared at the floor, but deep inside, something was changing. She had endured this for 3 years, 3 long, painful years. She had stayed quiet. She had smiled. She had taken every insult, every mockery, every cruel word. But not anymore, not after today, because what they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Kioma had a secret that would soon turn everything upside down. And when the time came, they would all see. They would all regret the way they treated her. But for now, she would wait, just a little longer. The wedding reception continued. Music blared from the speakers. People danced. They ate. They laughed. But Kioma sat in silence, her hands folded tightly on her lap, her mind racing. She thought about leaving, just walking out, never coming back. But then she looked at Emeka. He was standing with his cousins, looking uncomfortable. He kept glancing at her, worry written all over his face. He loved her. She knew that, but his love wasn't enough to protect her from his family. Suddenly, Adaizi's voice cut through the noise. Everyone, please gather around. My husband has something to announce." The crowd moved closer. Kioma stayed where she was, but she could still hear. Adaz's new husband, Chukwudi, stood up. He was smiling, proud. He cleared his throat. "I just want to say, I am the luckiest man in the world. Not only did I marry the most beautiful woman here," he paused and looked at Adaz lovingly, "but I also want to share some wonderful news." The crowd leaned in. "We're expecting." The hall erupted in cheers, screams, applause. Emeka's mother jumped up and hugged Adeze tightly. My daughter is pregnant. Already, after just 2 months of marriage." The crowd clapped louder. People shouted blessings. Kioma felt her chest tighten. She couldn't breathe. 2 months, Adaze got pregnant in 2 months. And Kioma? 3 years. 3 long, painful years. And nothing. Amika's mother turned and looked directly at Kioma. Her eyes were cold, mocking. "You see, Kioma," she said loud enough for people nearby to hear. "This is what a real woman looks like. A woman who knows how to fulfill her duty." Chioma's nails dug into her palms. She felt her body shaking, but she didn't move. She didn't speak. Ades walked over to her. She stood right in front of Kioma, smiling, gloating. "Maybe you should learn from me," Ades said sweetly. "Maybe then my brother wouldn't be so disappointed." Kioma looked up at her. Their eyes met, and for the first time Kioma didn't look away. "Congratulations," Kioma said quietly. Adaz's smile faltered, just for a second. She didn't expect that. She expected tears, anger, shame. But Kioma just stared at her, calm, steady. Adaze turned and walked away, confused. Emeka came over quickly. He knelt beside Kioma. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Kioma nodded, but she wasn't okay. Not really. "I want to go home," she whispered. "Okay, let's go." But just as they stood to leave, the MC's voice boomed again. "Wait, wait, wait. Before anyone leaves, we have one more surprise." Kioma froze. Her stomach dropped. "What now?" The MC grinned. "We have a special video message from someone very special." A large screen was brought out. The lights dimmed. The crowd gathered around. Kioma didn't want to stay, but Emeka gently held her hand. "Just one more minute," he whispered. "Then we'll leave. I promise." The video started to play, and what Kioma saw on that screen changed everything. Her heart stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Because the face on the screen, it was hers. Kioma stared at the screen. Her own face looked back at her. But this wasn't a video from today. This was from weeks ago. A video she had recorded. A video she thought no one would ever see. At least, not yet. But somehow, it was here. Playing in front of everyone. Her heart pounded. Her palms were sweaty. She looked around. No one was looking at her. Not yet. They were all focused on the screen. On the video, Kioma was sitting in a bright room. She looked calm, happy even. Her hair was neatly styled. She wore a soft smile. Then she began to speak. "My name is Kioma, and I want to share something with all of you." The crowd went silent, confused. Some people glanced at each other. On the screen, Kioma continued. "For the past 3 years, I have been called many names. Barren, useless, a disappointment. I've been told I'm not a real woman because I haven't given my husband a child." Whispers started in the crowd. People looked around searching for Kioma, but she stayed still, hidden in the back. "But what you don't know," the video Kioma said, her voice steady, "is that I did have a child. 3, actually." The whispers stopped. The hall went dead silent. Even the music seemed to pause. Adaz's smile froze. Amika's mother stood up slowly, her face pale. On the screen, Kioma smiled. "I gave birth to triplets, 3 beautiful, healthy babies, a few months ago." Gasps filled the room. Hands flew to mouths. Eyes widened in shock. "But I didn't tell anyone," Kioma continued. "Not my husband's family, not even some of my own family. Because I knew. I knew that if I told them, they would take credit. They would use my children for their own glory. So I waited. I kept them safe. I kept them hidden." Emeka's jaw dropped. He turned to look at Kioma, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Kioma," he whispered. But Kioma didn't look at him. She kept her eyes on the screen. "And today," video Kioma said, her voice growing stronger, "on this day when I was humiliated, mocked, and torn down, I want you all to know the truth. She leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. I am not barren. I am not useless. I am a mother of 3. The screen went black. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was deafening. Then, chaos. Did she just say triplets? 3 children? Where are they? Is this real? Emika's mother stumbled backward. Daisy's face turned red. She looked around frantically, trying to understand what just happened. And then, the doors at the back of the hall opened. Everyone turned. And there she was, Chioma, standing tall, confident, and in her arms. A baby. Behind her, a nanny held 2 more. 3 beautiful babies, dressed in matching outfits, their tiny faces peaceful and calm. The crowd erupted. Screams, gasps, applause, confusion. Chioma walked slowly down the aisle, her head held high, her eyes locked on Emeka's mother. This time, she wasn't sitting in the back. This time, she was the one everyone was looking at, and she had only just begun. Chioma walked down the aisle, her baby nestled safely in her arms. The nanny followed close behind, holding the other 2. The entire wedding hall was in shock. People stood up from their seats. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Is that really her children? 3 babies? How did we not know? Chioma reached the front of the hall. She stopped right in front of Emika's mother, the woman who had spent years tearing her down, the woman who had just minutes ago publicly humiliated her. Now, that same woman stood frozen, her mouth open, her face pale. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Chioma smiled, calm, unbothered. Mama, Chioma said softly, I brought someone to meet you. She gently turned the baby in her arms so Emika's mother could see. The baby cooed softly, tiny fingers reaching out. Emika's mother stared. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Adaize rushed forward, her face twisted in disbelief. This is a lie, she shouted. You're lying. Those aren't your children. Chioma turned to her, still calm, still smiling. Would you like to see their birth certificates? Chioma asked sweetly. Or perhaps the hospital records. I have everything. I made sure of it. Adaize's face went red. She looked at her mother, then at her new husband, then back at Chioma. You're making this up. You probably paid someone to... Adaize, stop. Everyone turned. It was Emika. He walked slowly toward Chioma. His eyes never left hers. His face was a mixture of shock, confusion, and something else, something softer. Chioma, he said quietly, is this true? Chioma nodded. Yes, Emika, it's true. These are our children, our triplets. Emika's eyes filled with tears. He reached out slowly and touched the baby's tiny hand. The baby grabbed his finger, and just like that, Emeka broke. He fell to his knees. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered, his voice cracking. Why didn't you tell me? Chioma knelt beside him. She placed her free hand on his shoulder. Because I needed to be sure, she said softly. I needed to know that they would be safe, that they wouldn't be used, that they wouldn't be turned into weapons against me. Emeka looked up at her, tears streaming down his face. I would never. I know, Chioma interrupted gently. I know you wouldn't, but your family? She glanced at his mother in a daze. They would. Silence. Emeka's mother finally found her voice. Chioma, I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't care, Chioma said, her voice still calm but firm. You didn't care to ask. You didn't care to support me. You only cared about tearing me down. She stood up, holding her baby close. But I forgive you, Chioma said, because I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your acceptance. I have everything I need right here. She looked at Emeka, then at her 3 children. And that's all that matters. The crowd highlight of today. The crowd erupted in applause, and for the first time in 3 years, Kioma smiled. A real, genuine smile.